Hey folks, ET here, and just coming in with the end cap for the week, the Friday fun day, just kind of a review, go over a few things, talk about a couple things I see from the tools as we progress throughout the week, and then we'll check SPY and QQQ as well. So first thing I want to kind of point out here is something I'm starting to notice are these early morning fake outs we see on ODTE GEX. We see a line get loaded, we see a level get loaded real early, okay? So if everybody was paying attention early on in the day, our 425, okay, was the biggest negative bar we had. Price pulled, but guess what? We also had 340 as the biggest on QQQ, and on SPX all the way up here at 4250 was our biggest negative bar there as well. But here's what happened. Early on, these bars are big, okay, and it almost feels like a fake out, or maybe it's being loaded or some sort of hedge, but this has happened now 3 days in a row. We're early, and this is why I say I like to give everything 30 minutes to an hour. We're early session, we see one level really stand out, but then if we're looking at our buy time, we kind of see the ones start to progress down. And what you want, right? So let's just say that 425 rips down early. It's not on here right now because we were far enough from the strike. Let's just say it does rip down early, and we do see it, but we see others progressing down that are below price, right? We see them slowly tick down. Those are going to be the ones we want to actually pay more attention to. Sometimes it's a little difficult to see by strike, like what's shrinking and growing, but this 420 and this 418 and this 417.5 all started to grow little by little. They started red, 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 right, red, 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 and this one stayed the same. So what I am doing now is I am definitely waiting that first 30 to 45 minutes before I execute anything, because if I would have just waited a few minutes, and I will tell you, I'll be honest, I even put it in my channel in the Tradie Discord. I said I'm going to take some 340 lottos. I took 10. I had a 20% stop set. It automatically went. So you can imagine I lost 20% of those 10 lottos immediately, but I did switch to 335s as soon as my stop hit, and those ended up going pretty well. It wasn't a day for any big massive gains. I think I only got maybe 60% out of all of them, but not bad. Made up for that net loss, and I went a little heavier once I noticed these levels growing and this one staying the same. Next, want to talk about real quick. Check out MNF. You must find the confluence in MNF. Want to know why we didn't go down really, really hard today? We had some calls on the board from other places. Now, we ignore these bigger spikes, but for the most part, calls sort of slowly progressed up on all the other time frames throughout the day, even ignoring those little spikes. They kind of just matriculated their way upwards, right? And that prevented us from having a full bear down day, even though we had some negative levels. So what you want to see, obviously, is, I'm going to go ahead and point this out for the millionth time, but I think it bears importance. One, give these tools a little bit to get going, okay? Give them some time to see which ones are changing. Your buy time actually gives you a pretty good example of it, because you can see one kind of pushing down. You can even draw a little arrow with your eyes, say, oh, that one's going down, but price is still up here, okay? So keep an eye on that. Two, your arrow here, your time, or your signal here for time frame continuity, having that in your direction is going to be absolutely much better than not having it, which we did not have it for most of the day. And then thirdly, when you're watching convergence here, right, red convergence brings us down, green convergence brings us up. So ideally, if you're looking for a full bear day, you want red time frame continuity, you want convergence coming across the bottom here in red, and you want to see all DTEs going that way. And then the last piece of that puzzle is you want to see your buy time or your buy strike pulling in that direction, okay? So that is something that I think is important, and I think we get those early morning fake outs 3 days in a row where we had some, oh gosh, we're going to go down, but then we ended up ripping, and the opposite today. At 425 popped, and we ended up going down from our about 420, 421 reject. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and just deep dive into what SPY is doing right now and how we went. We obviously moved up quite a bit this week, got all the way up to this 420.79. It was really a 421 GEX, but you know I like to draw mine down to where price reacts, so that got us there. And then we really spent the rest of the day in the bottom of this channel here. There was a big dark pool at 420 or 419.20, I think. A bunch of buys happened this morning. right here. Okay, 419.20, and guess what? We did not get above that the rest of the day. So we just kind of stuck around this price the rest of the day. Once we got below it, we did have enough pressure from MNF and our pull here to keep us down, but not down enough because we didn't have our flow line matching up and we didn't have enough of that pressure. So there's our levels. We still have gamma all the way up to 422, and then we have some all the way down, oh my goodness, all the way down to 384. Okay, so I'm not saying we go to 384. We're a little bit closer to 422, and I would not be shocked if that is something that we tap soon, right before we make our way down. If more gamma appears above, I will change my thesis that we could possibly go up, but I'm still betting. I'm still not betting. I am still eyeing the deltas and playing my plays of I will short the green days. It's been working so far, so it's not been too bad of a thing. All right, now let's go back into our SPY options dashboard and just see what we see as we're going along here. One of the things that one thing I want to talk about when we get down here, I'll show you. This is pretty interesting and something that I kind of picked up on a little bit today. So first off, we know our deltas continue to build. This is showing potential downside. These are swing plays. I do not short SPY on red days. I only short on green days. It is much more profitable to short runs than it is to short dips. Okay, that is just basic math. If it's down big and you're buying puts, it could hit a support and bounce right up. So my method is I always short green days. It works out more often than it does not. So going into our price distribution for Monday, fairly bearish, right? It's not looking that great. So that's pretty interesting. In fact, I think if we go through the entire week, our price distros are bearish all the way through next week, minus what looks like to be a Thursday somewhat chop day. So what I'm seeing when I'm looking at some of these bars that are about even sized is that maybe we have some controlled sells on the days that we have. If we remain bearish throughout the week, maybe we have some controlled sells in the day that we also have some decent sized green bars. Here was and this is what I wanted to talk about. Here was our dealer OI. This should have been, we were extremely bearish, right? So we were extremely bearish, and everybody was looking at this right here. Everybody was saying, what's DMD doing? We should be getting bought up, right? So Dealer's Market Diary did say that dealers should have to buy the underlying, to remain neutral, but we ended up having this super bearish position here as well. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and guess that maybe they cancel each other out. Maybe I'm stupid, but we will find out. I just noticed this today. So what I want to do is I want to kind of go through and watch that for more going on. Now, if we're going into next week, our dealer OI is actually somewhat bullish, right? Going into every day except for let's see, it's Monday, Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday are a little bearish, right? But the rest of the day seems somewhat bullish, and that doesn't match with our price distro the same, which could potentially mean that we get a little bit more upside before we see downside. I mean, that's a $4 move if we're going to get up to 422, which could happen. So we'll find out how that works as that goes. But looking through all of the information here, I am still shorting pops. I am doing that. I am not holding long. I'll be honest, I do have some swings short, but I got them at 419, so I am still green, and I still have 3 weeks on them, so I am just kind of waiting along. This little run up here this morning did hurt a little bit, but since they are swings and I have plenty of time, I've just kind of let them do their thing. So I'm hoping that the data continues to prove to be accurate, and we can short every pop, and I'd really like to see us get back down to this 415 and ultimately to our largest dark pool here at 410.92. That is where my strike is, and it is quite far out, so we'll be okay there. That's the data that I'm looking at for SPY, okay? It looks like we should be net short. I really like when these things start to match up, and when they don't, I'm a little bit more leery, and I expect some more choppy days, all right? So let's get into QQQ now. Let me pull up its stock dashboard and pull its levels really quick. As you can see, we're coming up to the top of them. Let's go out to the monthly to see if there's some more. There is a little bit more at the top, and that's our 350, I think, okay? So that's our 350 on our QQQ. I believe that was the number. We'll pull it and see. There we go, 350. So we do have these attracting lines going up, going up, going up, and I would absolutely crap myself if I saw us get all the way to this 350, but I'd not be shocked, to be honest. I mean, if you're thinking about it, a bit of a run up on the indices before everything goes down would not shock me. Maybe a binary event with some news that does a few things could cause something. So we'll see how that goes. So that's just looking at the levels. As you can see, it also hung around once it rejected off this 338. You can see the wick there. It came down and it never really gained any traction throughout there the rest of the day. All right, going into its options, let's take a look. And this is interesting. It's dealer Greeks. I checked these right beforehand, got them ready to go. It doesn't have the same win percentage as SPY, so I don't follow them as much. I like to see these big numbers across the board. Still pointing towards downside for QQQ as well, but it is going into a little bit the next few days, just like we saw on SPY. The next few days a little bullish. Well, 1 day bullish for SPY Monday, and then QQQ has Monday and Tuesday, and then getting into Friday it becomes more bearish. And I do believe I have it set. Our Friday here is actually showing kind of a mixed bag. Could be a little bit more bearish if we aggregate all the bars together. So this is one of those days when I see these bars this close together, and I see a couple on the other side that might be higher. What I start to think is potentially a round trip day, right? So I fade the first move that day is what I call it. So if we open Friday and we come up to that 1.2%, or we're somewhere in the middle, right? And I see us hitting a level that looks to be resistance, a GEX or a dark pool level, anywhere that gamma or dark pool are, I might go ahead and flip short once we hit that point. Inverse of that, if we start the day down big, we have our percent down, we're coming to a support, and MNF and ODTE GEX line up as well, that I might flip long for the day. That's one of those things that you kind of have to pay close attention to, but you really always want to continue to follow MNF. This is going to be MNF and ODTE GEX are going to be your two most important things to follow, followed by your levels. And then after that, we can start to aggregate down and kind of get granular with what we see in the actual options data and the dealer OIs and our price distribution and our dealer Greek buildup, all those things. So that's the kind of things I'm looking at for next week. If I were to guess, and I don't like to, and I don't have any skin in the game minus some longer dated puts. If I were to guess, I would say that the data shows that we might see some controlled selling next week. Maybe not an absolute drop that's just crazy, but I could see us slowly working our way down, especially if we manage to tap that 422 early in the week. I could see us slowly working ourselves down, right? I anticipate to see some of these dark pool levels to continue to grow. I'll add that 419.21 next week if it continues to grow, but I anticipate, just by looking at the data, just by reading the data purely, I can see that potentially we could have a little bit of a run up and then a slow grind down to maybe 415, 412, right around there. So we'll see how all that plays out. If anything, I would love to see us not in this 412 area for a long time, unless we're coming down to it quickly. That's all I have for the Friday wrap-up. I will see you all Sunday for the week ahead. Everybody have a good weekend and go get that Oprah money.